Hello.
Hey, how's it going?
Not bad. How are you?
Very good.
You guys have a good weekend? It
Yeah, how about you?
was all right. Took a little bit easy. There are a couple of folks here just off camera.
Okay. Hey, Sadie, before we get going, I'm just wondering, any ideas on who's paying Wild West Bunch?
Who's doing what?
Who's paying the Wild West Bunch? Have you heard?
I think we had talked about the ISMA and paying part of that fee, but nothing was like super finalized once you guys said yes. John and I kind of had tabled it a little bit.
Oh, because yeah, we gave permission for the shows, but we weren't funding. I was at a loss as to where the funding was coming from. Just thought I'd ask before we got going with the meeting. I honestly don't have a clue as to where that funding's coming from.
I had told them that we would pay less than we paid last year, so I'm not sure, what, I don't know how many, and they seemed fine with that. I just can't pay them what I paid them last year, so.
Yeah. Ready? If I see him tonight, I will ask.
Yeah, I think they will. One or two of them will probably be there tonight. They reached out to me via email.
Okay.
I will not be able to be there tonight, but they did reach out, so they are planning on being there.
Oh, that's good to know. All right. Well, I want to welcome everybody. And Jonathan, I thought I'd have you kick us off if you have something new for us.
Mayor, I thought maybe just kind of rehash of the 4th of July last week might be good just to see how everybody did. And then
Yeah.
roundtable discussion. We've got a couple of people here who are not on camera, but I thought we could kind of start. And then Ashley's here as well from Interstate. And I thought maybe it'd be good to have a little bit of a parking update from her as well.
That sounds like a good idea.
Lindsay, do you want to, I'm just seeing you first. Do you want to talk at all about the 4th of July?
Sure. So it was a great 4th. The weather didn't cooperate the whole weekend, but the fireworks were absolutely amazing. Kudos to the city. It was just a really fantastic job, and a cool thing that we got to do this year. So really happy about that. It was a great weekend. We actually had a better weekend this past weekend than we did over the 4th. We did great sales this past Saturday and also yesterday. So really, really great weekend, hoping to continue that trend. We're still seeing kind of a downturn during the week, which is interesting. Usually it's kind of just constant with rafting, but still, again, seeing that kind of slower times during the weekdays, and then weekends have been fantastic.
Yeah, well,
Sadie,
that sounds good. I know I did have. Sorry, go ahead, Sadie.
Oh, you can go ahead, Mayor. I'll go after you.
Well, I was just wanting to touch on 4th of July, and I too thought it was absolutely amazing. I did have a complaint. I've got to research to see if it's been cleaned up or not. But I heard up above the water wheel, there was a rather large amount of trash from the letting off of the fireworks. And that was Saturday from a tenant of mine who drives one of the rafting buses. And he was turning around up there and took some photos of it. I will swing by probably later today to see if they clean that up. I mean, obviously, they're not, in pitch dark going to be able to do a lot of that. And there had been rain the next couple of days. So I will follow up on that, see if that was picked up.
It is. It's been picked up. I noticed it as well. And
thank
I
you,
was down there
Sadie. All right.
yesterday. Yeah, it's been all cleaned up. That was something I was gonna mention. But I think actually the raft companies, the new raft guys that are right across from you guys, they walked over because they can walk over on that side. They walked over and picked a bunch of it up on Tuesday.
Okay.
So they cleaned up a lot of it before it got into the river. But that was something I was gonna mention as well, was it would seem like more than in years past. I'm not sure why, but all of it's been cleaned up. It's looking really good back down there now.
Thanks, see.
Yeah, so 4th of July weekend for us. So from Friday to Monday, Tuesday, overall, we were busier than last year. I think the crowd actually on 4th of July itself was a little bit smaller than last year. Which was actually kind of nice because I think last year we were so over. There were so many people that last year was a little overwhelming. I think the crowd felt a little lower key, which felt nicer probably for our locals. I think it felt a lot less inundated, a little bit more local, which was really nice. A lot more people from the counties surrounding us. So it was really wonderful. We had a lot of really positive feedback about the open container. Everybody from our perspective that we saw was super respectful in the stores. Even walking into my store, they were like, "Hey, are you comfortable? Do you not want me to bring it in?" So we had a lot of really great communication. I felt like everybody was very pleased and happy about that. So it was a really busy, good crowd. And again, I can repeat what Lindsay said. We were actually busier this last weekend than we were on 4th of July weekend. And that was actually on trend with last year as well. We were also busier the weekend after 4th of July last year as well. So it's just really interesting, just extended, more people traveling. So overall, just a really good couple of weeks.
Sadie, that's very interesting. Very interesting. I didn't know that about having a busier week, after 4th of July. That's great. Steve, what was your take there on 4th of July?
Mayor, I think he might be having a computer issue.
Oh, okay. All righty. Jonah, thought I'd touch base with you. How are things going?
We are getting ever closer. So over the weekend, we officially launched our reservations and rooms page on the website. So people can now actually book rooms starting Labor Day weekend and on into the future. We have pretty much all the materials at the site now for doing all the finishing work. This week is insulating and drywalling. As you know, we are getting everything coordinated with Safe Built on getting those inspections done as we step through those processes. So that's not going to go super fast, but as soon as drywall, we got about 800 sheets of drywall to put up. That we have a couple crews that are coming up to do that. So that's going to be pretty busy and hectic. And then basically over the next 4 weeks, you'll start seeing a lot of the exterior work happening. I know we've got an appointment with the Historical Review Committee on the 19th, where we're going to be seeking approval on our sign design and our fence that we are hopeful to get installed here by the end of the month. Well, when it comes to the fence, at least the sign, we know that will be probably another month out after the meeting, just because we have to have permits in hands before they'll start manufacturing that. Beyond that, I don't know, pretty optimistic. Today I got all the door locks ordered, and those are supposedly in inventory, so I shouldn't have any delivery or supply issues with those. So it's very exciting with a lot of activity we're going to have here in the next 4 to 5 months, and hopefully we'll be kind of putting out kind of invites to the city and city council and members of the kind of the collective here on Minor Street for open house here, probably mid to late August.
All right, Jonah, good update. Looking forward to it. And Dr. Terry, do you have anything for us today?
Just that we are closing in on the start of school again in just about a month now. And so we started school physicals 1 week ago. I'm performing those at the rec center, and people can sign up through me or online through the Calendly app, and they're able to schedule their own sports physicals and school physicals there. Anything that requires a physician's signature, I can complete for them and get that taken care of before school starts. And that's it for today.
All right, good to know. Thank you.
Thank you.
Chief, what was your take on 4th of July?
Mayor, group, I thought things went very smoothly. We had the Rangers in town to help us throughout the day and into the evening. One of the things, there were a couple things that were pointed out to me. As far as the open container and us as a city allowing that basically in the historic district between 13th and 17th, we really didn't see any major issues with that. In fact, one of the Rangers commented to me that, a lot of the businesses still have their signs out that say no alcohol beyond this point in each of their areas. So I think that might have kept people sort of following those rules. There were some people, I did see some people with beverages. We did have a couple of people that we encountered out in the parking lot that had brought their own alcohol. We told them they had to obviously put that away. Okay. But outside of that, the other thing I wanted to just bring up to the group, and since the parking folks are on here, I did notice that there was someone that parked, and this was about 20 minutes before the show, 30 minutes before the show, and they actually took up the parking space next to them with one of those pop-up tent things, and they were basically sort of tailgating in that other extra parking space that they took over, which I thought was kind of unusual in that parking is at such a premium for the city, and that was, it just seemed kind of silly that they were taking up a parking space with their little pop-up tent and coolers and whatnot. But we were so close to the show that I didn't really feel like it was something I needed to jump in the middle of but I did want to bring it up to the group and to the city, and certainly just throw that out there. It was unusual. I didn't see that last year. As far as the tone, and I would echo what Sadie said, I feel like last year was a little more chaotic because I felt like we had a lot more maybe metro or out of town type folks, and I felt like this year it was more county based for sure. I just didn't see as many people that seemed like they were from the city. The egress went I thought went very well. It was about 35 minutes that we were out directing traffic, and it went fairly smoothly, no issues. So as far as calls or anything like that, no citations, no arrests. I felt like it was a successful event, public safety wise.
Hey, that's always good to hear. Thanks, Chief. Steve, not sure if you're able to hear me now, but want to check in with you with the 4th of July.
Yeah, I just had to restart my computer apparently because I tried everything before. I could not hear you guys. I do have some notes on my desk, but obviously, you probably already talked about 4th of July, but it went well for us. CODA thing seemed to go fine. It was a little bit hard to get people to come all the way down to the west end here where we were doing food, but it did work. There was some cool things. Like I really like the big bubble people. They're doing the huge bubbles, right before. That was a fun attraction. The stage and the band was good. Our numbers were up over 2019 and 20. And our numbers are up right now downstairs because we're getting crushed. I can't find my notes from last week, but the only other thing I noticed that was interesting this weekend is apparently the road bikers found that free parking in the dirt lot as you get off a eastbound I-70, because that had about 25 cars in there, all road bikers, because they strive to find the free parking. And so they're packing that thing. Can't think of anything else right now. I'll look for my notes.
Thanks, Steve. If you find them, feel free to chime back in. Say, yeah, I see you have your hand up.
Yeah, TJ wanted me to give you guys an update from Mountain Prime. He just sent me a text and said that they were also significantly up over 4th of July of 2020, of last year and of 2019. And that they had a really great feedback from the CODA and people, lots of extra to-go food. They said that they were really happy with the extra to-go food, lots of people taking to-go food and going to the park with it. So they were very happy about that. The bouncy house being on Minor was very helpful. They really appreciated it on Minor. A lot of really great feedback from the guests, letting their kids, their parents were like sitting on the patio at Mountain Prime and they could watch their kids in the bouncy house. So they were very pleased. A lot of feedback about wanting more activities for children on Minor from Mountain Prime's feedback from their guests. And then also TJ said the same thing as me and Lindsay, that last weekend was even busier. And they had a record-breaking day last Saturday, just this last Saturday.
All right. I'm glad you shared that with us, Sadie. And I'm glad TJ was able to get that information to you. Very, very good.
Yeah,
Dave?
I will say that this past weekend was busier than 4th of July, which is pretty normal because the biggest problem on 4th of July is parking, because people hang out in their parking spots longer, or some people might even reserve spots for the evening. So our numbers were good on 4th of July, but we had a huge day on this Saturday. And there was, when you stand on our back dock and you watch the parking situation behind us, there was, people get really irritated, and there's some high emotions about parking behind our building on 4th of July.
Yeah. Jonathan?
I just want to mention that we had a new business open in town this weekend downtown. Bees Knees is finally open, and it's not called Bees Knees anymore. It's called, I forget what it's called, but it's a wine bar and they have charcuterie boards. And I just went to visit them today and it is really nice. So I think that they are probably going to start attending these meetings too, but I'm excited that we got another business open downtown.
We're also
Okay.
going to be helping throw a little grand opening thing for them as well. So you guys will all get invites to that, but we're going to do a little grand opening thing, and it's the Queen something. I can't remember. It's very cool inside if you haven't been in. And
Sadie, is it the same owners? Oh, it
Yes.
is. Okay. All right. Well, good. All right. That's good to know. And I don't know if you saw or heard about the statistics. Wonder gave us the sales for the month, once again, up, over 8% of our record. So the city's take is out $125,000 up. And I share this month in particular because this is about the halfway point, or about the 50 percentile mark on how we do in a year. So if we hold true to course, we're on track to be up about a $250,000. Very healthy increase, knock on wood, hope it holds. But I think, we're certainly on the right path, and I'm glad to see it. Jonathan, you were saying, maybe after we go around, check in with, Ashley at the, parking. And Ashley, I wanted you to know that I went by that 103 lot on Saturday at exactly noon. And there were 53 cars in that parking lot that only left about 2 spots. So I was happy to see that at least on weekends, folks were darn near filling it up at noon on Saturday. Sorry, Ashley, maybe you can't hear us, but
No, I can hear you. It's just a little bit choppy for me. So not sure if that's my internet connection or something, but I did get booted out of here for a little bit before. Um, so sorry if it's a little bit choppy coming in as well. But we are seeing pretty good movement in that lot, good payment. Last month we had a really great month. And we did also see that same trend that everyone else is seeing, similar numbers this weekend to what we got on the 4th of July, as far as parking and that kind of thing. So this weekend is really busy for us. As we are seeing that traffic though, we did have an uptick in citations. So we're gonna be trying to just work with the public on making sure that everyone, especially as they come back to visiting, understands the parking policies and that they're getting registered so that we're not hitting them with those tickets and putting a bad taste in their mouth.
all right. Well, that's good to know. Jonathan, do you have anything else?
One thing that I don't know that we need to get too far into it today, but there's a couple of things that I think we need to do just to be proactive about our future here. And I think just as we've kind of progressed through this summer, we've definitely iterated. I first wanted to say this. Thank you for everybody for the iterations that we have done in the marketplace to continue having successful operations. I think that we have made it better than it was last year. And I think that we can continue to do that to make sure things work effectively and smoothly in the future. One thing that I do want to bring up to this group, just to start conversations about, is what our next couple of steps look like. As you may know, the city has started to talk about downtown improvements, and it's going to be extremely critical. And I'm not talking about the parking structure, I'm talking about utilities and the streetscape, like are in the downtown master plan. Those may be a little ways off, but I really want to make sure we're all engaged in that conversation because there are going to be challenges for us as we talk about how that works and what we're going to do and all that thing. So I want to put that just on the radar that we need to start thinking about those conversations and kind of assessing our strengths and looking at what we need to do to be effective when we do that. The other thing is programming of the marketplace for the wintertime. And I know that we have discussed Halloween is when the marketplace closes, but I think we have an opportunity to maybe explore another option for what wintertime operations downtown look like. So we can keep our programming momentum going in the wintertime and keep people coming in a time when traditionally we don't have a lot of visitation to the city. I've talked to John Bordoni just a little bit about this, and some of you have expressed some of this to me as well. But 16th by Citizens Park offers an opportunity for us as a programming space that we might be able to use to bring people downtown, as does Waterwheel Park. So those are two really downtown adjacent places where we can think about programming in this kind of new phase that we were talking about, programming for tourists to come when we're not really busy. So kind of more in our shoulder seasons, and think about what that does to our downtown district, whether or not we can have, maybe we can close the marketplace for a weekend if we have a really good reason that would bring people into town and that kind of thing. So I don't really have any preconceived ideas about what that looks like, but I do want to make sure that we're thinking about that. The other thing is programming just in general. Last year we had a couple of things that happened in the wintertime, like the school district choir concert that happened on 16th. I would like to start building a little bit better process for how events that happen under the kind of the general umbrella of ISMA and the CODA, how they function downtown. I don't think we're bad, but I just like to kind of make sure that we have a really, that we continue building these processes we built to make sure everybody knows what we're doing, when we're doing, how we're doing it, and why. And then finally, the last piece I want to talk about is community promotions. So the city of Idaho Springs has long had a community promotion budget. We are about to enter the budget process for the city. And I think that we're getting to the point where we should have maybe a slightly bigger prod or conversation about what community promotion means and what that entails. A lot of that is the tree lighting ceremony, flowers in the springtime, 4th of July. That takes up a big chunk of it. But we have an opportunity, I think, to think about a little better about how that money is used and what we're doing with it. And obviously we want that to support the whole town, but there's a piece of downtown there too. So what I would like to do is just start thinking about how those conversations would happen. I don't know if everybody is interested in that. And so we could maybe have a smaller task force group to talk about it. But I would like to just kind of bring them up to discuss it. Sadie, do you want to touch base? We've had an opportunity come as well that I think might be worthwhile talking about in terms of downtown businesses and ISMA and chamber and the city. That could be a really great tool for us. And I don't know if you just want to open that conversation as we're here.
Yeah. Yeah, most people have on this call have probably already heard me talk about this, but we've been approached, the business organizations have been approached by This Is Idaho Springs. If you're not familiar with This Is Idaho Springs, when you Google come to visually falls like 10 underneath it. The chamber website doesn't even show up. This Is Idaho Springs is the first website. Most people assume that our Chamber of Commerce runs that website. They do not. We do not run it, the chamber. It is run by a digital marketing company that came into Idaho Springs for a while, built up that content, built up all the business pages, and now are leaving Idaho Springs. They've moved their offices and most of their management team to Denver. And they have approached the business organization about wanting the business organization and perhaps the city to create a partnership to purchase the asset. It's a valuable asset, mainly because of the content and the SEO data that it has. It is a beautiful website and has all the bells and whistles, a large social media following, the clicks, and that it could actually be something that could be potentially monetized to create some revenue for the Chamber of Commerce through paid ads. There are no paid ads on the website right now. You could put paid ads on it quite easily. So this is something that is really important as we move forward. Idaho Springs is significantly behind when it comes to our digital media presence. Between the city space and the business organization spaces, we are behind the times significantly. This would bring us up into the digital age in a really powerful way. We could take control of the digital asset from the chamber city partnership. There's lots of different ways. It's a reasonable price. They're willing to negotiate. They're willing to help train us. It's a huge opportunity. It would be really beautiful and beneficial for us to not have to start from scratch in a lot of ways. It could be a great link between the city's redesign of their website, and it could link together. There's lots of really great potential there. So I've talked to John about it. I've talked to the ISMA members in the chamber about it as well. We're now in final talks with them that I told them I was going to be starting to talk about it a little bit more publicly. So they're aware that I'm going to be sharing it. I know, Mayor, that John might have been talking to you a little bit about it as well. So it's something to definitely get on if we can. I don't want them to stop putting content on it and it to like tear down. So if it goes dormant, it can be, especially for a website situation, if it goes dormant, then we're going to have to like do a lot of work to get it back to where it was. So kind of the iron is hot right now, buying it while we have the opportunity, while it's still being supported and content is being produced and put out on it would be.
So, and that's kind of what, this is one of the things I just want to bring to conversation, because I think we've got a lot of potential for next steps. And I think it is really going to be important that City Council is informed by the business community about how we're going to move forward. You know, we have a new relationship between ISMA and the chamber, and we've also talked about what that looks like with the city. Dr. Boland, we don't really have a cost for it yet. We're kind of early in that process, and we don't really want to one of the really important things with this is we want to be good stewards of the money, and we want to be responsible to the residents and to the property and business owners of our community. And so that's why I'm bringing it up today, is that we have a lot of ways that we can move forward in a way that kind of builds sustainability and resiliency within our economic side of our community. But the other really important thing is that we really center residents in this process too. And so what I'm trying to suggest is a not new, but an engagement process with property owners, business owners, residents, to start talking about like what our effort from Economic Recovery Task Force looks like moving forward. Lindsay, I don't know if you might want to mention a little bit about what we did in Montrose, but we worked with Montrose recently, and we went to their downtown, which is very vibrant. And we were discussing maybe ways that we can start morphing our Economic Recovery Task Force, since we're kind of, we have a longer future ahead of us than we do at times that we're dealing with COVID, hopefully. But maybe we can start building this task force into an engagement tool to start talking about community promotion and economic development in Idaho Springs that is contextual to our city, so that we don't, become an empty void of what Idaho Springs is, but really maintain a strong and vibrant community. Lindsay, do you by any chance want to just briefly mention what we talked to them about when we were visiting them?
Yeah. So the mayor, John, and I had a great time in Montrose and Grand Junction, and I'm really impressed with what they have going on out there. They have, actually, I may have mentioned this already, they call it the DART board, and the DART stands for Development and Revitalization Team, which is really kind of a cool thing that they have going. They have a very robust business incentive program, which we are currently working with the county to try to create, and each municipality trying to put a proposal together through CCDC for a business incentive program to just help to continue to build our vibrant business community. We've also talked about, other partnerships that we could have. I think it's always great to partner with other communities, see what they have going on and how we can not reinvent the wheel, but utilize kind of things that they're doing and bring them into our communities. So what am I missing, John?
That's perfect. And I just really wanted to start this conversation, Mayor, and just kind of start thinking about how we stay relevant in the future and maintain the really great engagement that we've had through this task force in the future to answer some of the challenges we'll have. Even with the mobility hub, we're going to have additional work that's required to get through that project. And we just have a very vibrant and knowledgeable group here. And I just want to make sure that we maintain our relevancy as we move forward. So I guess that's all I have to say. Mayor, I don't know if you have any comments or if anybody else does, but I kind of just wanted to, I know that was a lot, but.
Well, no, I'd like to digress just a minute and go back to the website. I'm glad that they're still keeping it fresh and putting new content on there. There's an old adage in the newspaper business, there's nothing as worthless as yesterday's news. And I think it applies today to websites. If they're updated and they stay fresh, then people gravitate to them and they stay relevant. And if they go dormant, particularly if it's for an extended period of time, they're like yesterday's news. So I'm glad that they're staying up to date. And I would agree with Sadie. We probably are behind in the way we market ourselves and being on on the net. I'm sure we could use some improvement there. And I think that if we get it for the right price, it may be a big shot in the arm to the city.
I'm wondering with the site, so if it is taken on, is there a designated person to keep it going and keep the same types of posts and activity? Otherwise, it's like, what did we buy it for? Just to make sure that activity is staying current and relevant moving forward.
That would be the plan, and we wouldn't want to move forward unless we can demonstrate that could be done clearly. One thought would be is that the Chamber of Commerce, in partnership with the city, could, because they've offered training to This is Idaho Springs people, and that could be a role of the chamber in the future. And this could be a place for, they had their This is Idaho Springs awards and potentially like a Taste of Idaho Springs event. It would give them a venue to kind of run that. And then the video piece would be, learning, there'd have to be a learning curve or somebody hired for that. But this would give a venue to do that. So I think that that's one of the really important questions we have to answer before we would pull the trigger, is we have to make sure that we can produce the content and maintain the quality of the website.
That's great. I wanted to throw out there as well. I love the chamber and ISMA have been able to join together. And I think everyone knows that our CCDC office is located on Colorado Boulevard at 1443. It's in a beautiful brick office building, kind of right behind the cidery facing Colorado Boulevard. But if there's an opportunity, if ISMA and the chamber need office space and there's a way for us to join together and maybe split rent or share a space, I think that could be a great kind of one-stop shop, and people could visit us here. And if you do have a person designated. So anyway, just throwing that out there. And if you want to talk more, I know that Lynn has a gorgeous space, my landlord, up front, that's kind of two joined spaces that we could talk to her about renting together. So just throwing that out there, and maybe Sadie, you and I and John can talk more about that.
I love that idea.
I just,
Yeah, that's a huge, and again, John's point, the chamber is, because we're going through this whole reorganization and kind of restructuring everything. This was part of one of the ways we really wanted to look at maybe a way to increase the director's salary, to have someone that could then manage the This Is Idaho Springs webpage, as well as have more of a traditional chamber. Because again, if we can monetize the website to a certain extent with paid ads, then we can justify having a higher dollar person, and being able to dip into some of the creative people in our community that can create really awesome content. We do have really talented photographers and really talented videographers that live in our community. We've just never had anything that's worth putting it up on. So if we do, then we can start engaging those processes as well. So, and thank you for the offer, because it would be really nice for the chamber to have an actual physical location.
all right. Thank you, Sadie. Jonah, I want to thank you for your patience. You've had your hand for quite a while.
No worries. I just wanted to make sure, and actually the timing was just right, tying into Sadie's statement with kind of photographers and everything along those lines. We have kind of what we'll call the authorized photographer for Club Hotel. She's been running around town since just before the burro races, taking pictures of rafters and the burro races, and then recently the gunslingers out on Minor Street. She's going up for the Moonlight Walk this Wednesday. That's going to be going up above the town. So we're really trying to get a lot of pictures and capturing the essence of kind of everything you can do around Idaho Springs. And we would definitely love to contribute a lot of those pictures and stories around that to any of this type of project. But obviously, we are not going to build even remotely. I think we were just really looking to capture photos for little postcards and everything for people to send out from the Club Hotel. But there's going to be a lot of content, and it would be nice to see if that content had a good home.
All right, good. Hey, while we're on this topic, Jonah had just mentioned the gunslingers downtown. And I'd like to know, has anyone had comments, good or bad, from customers? If so, I'd like for you to shout it out one way or the other if you've had input on that. All righty. Well,
I had, yeah, my family was up this weekend while they were there, and my sister-in-law was in the soap shop when it got robbed. So it was kind of a funny experience for her. I don't think she saw it coming, but I had been here last year and we're familiar with their routine and everything like that. And you know, I've heard a lot of positive feedback from people that I've talked to, just because it is something that's a fun experience on the West here.
Yeah, thank you, Jonah. I appreciate that. I actually watched the show in Gilpin yesterday, and it was pretty well received. There, obviously, people were very well informed. It didn't take anybody by surprise. It was a smaller, you know, kind of a one block area, but folks actually came out of the buildings to watch the show. So, but I wanted to hear, good or bad, you know, what the input was. Hey, I see you have your hand up.
You know what? We get mixed feedback. I will say that the guys do walk around Minor and let people know. You know, they're up and down in every shop, in letting people know, making sure they're talking to people with dogs, making sure they're talking to people with little kids, you know, engaging in the process. They stay in character the whole time, and they are educating people that it's happening. You know, guns are obviously a hot topic. It's challenging. We do hear some, you know, there are some, you know, negative feedback to it. And every time that they're out there, you know, we have people coming and bringing their chairs and sitting in the park, and the park is crowded, and there's a large crowd of people gathered on that section of the park and watch them. And they have people taking pictures with them the whole time they're there, you know? So, I'm pretty ambivalent about it. I mean, I like them as people. They're nice people. They'll talk to anyone about anything, and they're very engaging. And so it gives that living history, which is something that really sets us apart, is that we are such a historic town. So it does give that living history of what it might have been like back on our street. So that is really nice. And the fact that they are so engaging is really, you know, they're willing to talk to anybody that has any kind of thing to say to them. And they're very kind.
Thank you, Sadie. I do have one other 4th of July comment. We have folks in the city that essentially can never count on a day off. And that being, of course, our police department, and at least an individual or two, or all hands on deck, as an emergency may be, with the public works. And Jonathan Kane and Jared, there was a nice spread, and even folks that came to help us out from the Rangers were able to go and get a meal. And I just wanted to say thank you to the two of them. It was very, very nicely done. And I think everybody enjoyed it. Does anybody have anything else before we sign off? Yes, Jonathan.
Sorry, just one last thing. It's one last 4th of July. As you may know, we got that stage at a pretty good discount for the bands this year. And we have the opportunity to buy it for a really good price. And I think that it would benefit our community. We could potentially show movies in it. We could have outdoor events. We could have bands, anything. It's a pretty nice stage. It's hard-sided. It's easy to take care of. I just really wanted to straw poll and see if people thought that was a good idea or not. Okay. We'll probably bring that to city council in the very near future. We have enough money in our promotions budget to probably buy it. And then we could probably work with area like Blackhawk and Rec Center and people like that too, to make sure it gets used right. So I just want to make sure that was a good thing.
I think so. Thank you, Jonathan. Anything more? All right. Then I want to say thank you to everybody for your time. And I'll look forward to seeing you back here in 2 weeks.